Whew. What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday to you. You know, I just keep my prayers up. I do. I keep my prayers up to God. 2 Timothy 3, 1 through 5, it talks about in the last days, critical times, hard to deal with will be here. And it talks about all the behaviors that we will see manifested among mankind. And that scripture is so on point. It is. Let's just go there for a second so that we can just. 2 Timothy 3, 1 through 5. But mark this, there will be terrible times in the last days, right? This is Timothy talking. People will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of the good, treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying its power, have nothing to do with such people. But we see that such people actually consume societies today. And it can be very hard for believers to just navigate this world when we are dealing with so many of these sinfully inclined people. And one of the things that has really just irritated me is, number one, I've never been a fan of diversity, equity, and inclusion completely. And the reason why is because it really is the soft bigotry of low expectations, where they make arguments that Black people, the liberals will frame it as if Black people are not giving equal opportunities and chances in many industries. And because of this, right, we need to have DEI objectives incorporated in a number of corporations' governance. I actually agree with the fact that corporations should prioritize diversifying their workforce with talented people. And a lot of times what we see in a lot of corporations is that it's not even about the fact that they are not wanting the talented people. It's just the fact that the people who are applying to the job, they're not buddies, they're not kids of somebody else. And what's really happening in corporate America, which makes it inequitable, is that you have a lot of people who are prioritizing hooking up their buddies and their friends and their family, right? So it doesn't really give a lot of opportunity for people who are maybe building their career from the ground up in that space a chance to really thrive. So I do think that, DEI objectives do allow, for there to be some chance for Black Americans who do have ambition, who are capable of doing jobs. But what we have seen is that DEI has been executed to just place any old Black person sometimes in a position just to say that you have a Black butt in a seat. And a lot of times, and I've seen it, especially since 2020, where there's a lot of Black people, they were bragging on LinkedIn about, I'm the VP, or I just became the director of this, that, or the other. And then like a year later, they're talking about how they were set up to fail. And, and I think that's really how DEI has been executed, is to set people up to have these hopes and expectations, but not being realistic about what they're getting into all the time. So I'll give you an example. When I started licensing to become a financial advisor, I was working with another firm. And there was about 25 other Black people that I could just count in our Zoom calls that were at least in my licensing class. By the time the licensing period was over, right, I think only a fraction of us actually remained because they were pulling people from all over the place. One girl told me she was a cashier at CVS. And not saying that a cashier from CVS can't, you know, take the financial studies seriously, get a license, and become a rock star financial advisor. I'm not saying that. But, you know, those licenses are not easy, right? And you definitely want to be able to bring people in to go through that process that do have at least some educational background, a nuanced educational background to be able to do those licenses. I'll be honest, I didn't really have a hard time with the licenses. I didn't think they were as hard as people kind of made them seem. But I'm one of those people where, I can comprehend the nuances of things very easily. So I didn't really struggle with the licensing. If anything, I was struggling with all the crazy stuff that was going on in society at the time, because there was, again, in 2020, you had a lot of hyper racial people out there, a lot of racially charged rhetoric. But getting back, DEI has a new face to it these days, where you have these conservative Republicans who are using it as a slur. They're using it as a racial slur against Black people that they don't agree with. They don't care what qualifications the Black person have. They just look at a Black face in a position that maybe they're not, or they didn't think that Black people could be in. And the minute something goes south in that role and there's a Black face to it, the first thing they want to say is, this is a DEI hire. So it's almost like, when Black people get into a space that we're not supposed to be, we're not allowed to screw up like the other people. And if we do, it's because we're a DEI hire. And I look at people who want to sling that slur towards anybody that don't agree with them, or they may have to debate that they've debated. You are vehemently racist, right? And I hate calling people racist and slinging out the label of racist, but a lot of these people are very racist. They're very racist, right? Because they can't process or fathom an intelligent Black person. Right? And like I said, it doesn't help that if some of our people are feeding into some of these narratives and ideas and stereotypes, that these people already think, it doesn't help, if we give them what they want in situations like that. So Brianna Joy Gray recently was on the Trigonometry podcast debate stage, and she was debating, her and another gentleman were debating two men who were pro-Israel, and they were on the pro-Palestine, not to be confused with Hamas side of the argument. And she did get it. I watched the debate the entire time, and the only issue that I have with Brianna is that she allowed her passion for the topic to outshine the logic that she was putting on the table. And a lot of time it sucks, but as a Black person, sometimes you have to have optimal control and put your points on the table and be able to defend them with conviction, but you have to maintain emotional control, because these ignorant people who don't think that they're ignorant are just looking for a soundbite. A lot of these people are just looking for a soundbite to make a Black person seem less intelligent, right? And they do this all the time. And I'm going to tell Black women, I've seen this trend right now with when Black women debate Jewish men, for some reason, all of a sudden their racism comes right out, and they start calling us DEIs and all kinds of other, undermining our intelligence. This is what they do. This is the go-to when it comes to certain white people in connection with Black people. It is their go-to to believe that we are less intelligent. And, when I have debated people of all colors, especially in the last couple of years, I have found that the people who claim that they're more intelligent than Black people, some of them are actually the least intelligent people in society, period. Like, they need Black people to be less intelligent just so that they can look at themselves every day. But anyways, DEI Barbie was trending on Twitter because the moderator apparently did not like, Brianna's response when the debate was over. And she was upset, and obviously she should have maintained control. And again, I don't know how much she knew about the audience that she was going to be debating in front of it, but obviously she walked into a pro-Israel audience, right? So they weren't going to be supporting anything that she said, right? And I'm not sure if she was aware of this, but if she was, this would have given her an opportunity to calculate how she was going to respond. But regardless, apparently she threw her mic at one of the producers. She was upset about the outcome of the debate. She was upset about, I guess, the pro-Israel audience. And she made, I guess, allegedly made a statement that somebody should bomb the building that the debate was being held in. And, again, self-control is priceless, right? But he ended up calling her on Twitter DEI Barbie. His DEI Barbie is upset, right? And then he turns around and says that the DEI Barbie was not about her race. Well, if she was a white woman, would you even have said it? Probably not. Probably not. But because Brianna is a Harvard graduate, and everybody assumes some of these ignorant white people, they all assume that Black people that can get into Ivy League schools are DEI hires, as opposed to people being actually academically inclined to be successful in these institutions, which many are. Many are. There are many successful Black Harvard graduates, and I'm not talking about the buck dancing politicians either. But again, people don't want to, some people, it's hard for their, ignorant pride to believe that a Black person could be as intelligent, or if not more intelligent than them. So DEI Barbie is trending. And here's the thing, this DEI slur is what it is. This slur has been not only said in connection to Brianna Joy Gray, this was appropriated to Jasmine Crockett recently. And I don't agree with, Jasmine Crockett's political positions, right? But I do think that she deserves grace for her educational background, right? But I still look at a lot of Democrat politicians as tokens, right? So to me, it's not even about DEI hire. You want a title, and they're going to give you some money, and you're going to buck dance off for their causes, all the while being a Black face of Black people, talking about Black issues. Same card, same game. They all play it the same. But other than that, and then we saw it with the Baltimore mayor, Brandon, forgot the gentleman's name, but the mayor of Baltimore, when the bridge collapsed, they were calling him a DEI, right? And a lot of times they use these slurs, right, when there is a Black person with influence that they don't agree with, that they can't debate intelligently. So they just sling these ad hominem attacks, right, to make themselves feel bigger. So it's an interesting world that we live in, and it's getting tougher and tougher for a lot of us, no matter what color you are. But it's, for me as a Black person who, I am not a public sector Black. I enjoy working in the private sector, and I want to be successful in the private sector. It's very hard for us these days. It is very, very hard for us these days with this rhetoric of DEI. I would say it's incredibly hard for me as a financial advisor, because people who are prospects that I may want to work with, if they're running on this hyper social political stuff that many people are today, right, they're automatically, no matter what my presentation is, they're going to believe that I am less intelligent. And this is what I've been experiencing. I mean, I had one lady literally reach out on my site. And then when I talked to her, I don't know if I didn't meet her expectations of what a Black woman sounds like, but she's like, oh, it was either you or some Black lady. And I didn't want to work with her. And it's like, this is what we're dealing with now because of this rhetoric. And this rhetoric is spouted not just on the Democratic side, it's on the Republican side too. And all of this rhetoric really boils down to Black people being less capable, unintelligent, and needing somebody to hold their hand. And it just really, it pisses me off. But at the end of the day, I'm keeping my prayers up. I'm asking God for direction. And I'm just letting life happen as this system hopefully draws to a conclusion, because I'm sick of it. Like, I know a lot of people that want this world to last forever. I don't. I'm ready for God to set it all on fire and start new. I'm ready for God's kingdom, the new heavens and the new earth, to replace all of this garbage and all of these disgusting people with these demonic spirits. Like, I'm all good with that. Like, just as in the days of Noah, I understand why all of those people needed to be wiped out. I really do. Now I understand why those people needed to be wiped out. And it's going to be the same scenario for this second system of man. And I'm like, Lord, even if I have to get destroyed, all right, I don't even care. Just let it all burn. Just let it all burn. I am praying for God's new system so much, because that is how tired I am of these wicked people in this wicked system of man. So that is my little rant for today. DEI is very harmful to Black people long term. The rhetoric of DEI is harmful to us long term. It sets us up to, again, be inferior. It's just a little colorful, critical way of making Black people feel inferior, so that we're always running around with that Negro duality in America, that we know we can be this, but society keeps framing us as that. And some people get tired of it. That is where the motivations of Black people actually wane, because we keep being narrated certain ways, keep not getting chances, right? Like, I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like, I have no doubt that I am a great advisor. I help my clients. I help them grow their money. But when it comes to getting newer clients these days, it's tough, because I am contending with the ignorance of people all the time. I am contending with the judgments of people all the time. And what really irritates my soul about this, just like 2 Timothy said, people having a form of godly devotion, but proving false to his power. Yeah, those people, these wicked ass racist people who will sit up there and say that they're a child of Christ. You are a child of the devil, and you are going to be destroyed with him. So anyways, you guys, that is my rant for today. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. And I'm just going to keep things moving. So you have a wonderful day or evening. Bye.